Good morning, everybody. I'm Rob Porter. I'm one of the three committee chairs for the Economic Development Committee with the Chamber, and we welcome everybody. And we know people will be coming in as we're moving forward with this. So, Kevin, I know, as is normally the case, would you like to open our meeting with a few words of thanks, please?
Sure, Rob, thank you for this opportunity. Bow with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to come together before you as a part of this community. Just bless this community and bless all the people in it. We ask for your forgiveness. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. We haven't got a defined agenda on these things, so we sort of wing a little bit, but we always have a very good speaker on hand. And I think this morning, GC Hixson is actually in studio. Is that correct, GC?
I am. I'm just down the road from you, Rob, here in the vast confines of the Mount Juliet Chamber.
But GC Hixson is the executive director of the Joint Economic Community Development Board, the JECDB, as we try to rattle off the initials. But and I checked, GC, you have been doing this in this position since 2005. So you've got a 15-year anniversary coming in here shortly, I believe.
Yeah, who had said it would have lasted, huh?
Things are amazing. I understand. And in that 15 years, if you think back of all the things that have happened with the Amazons and the Under Armours and the Starbucks and all the big names, but there are dozens and dozens of smaller companies that have come into Wilson County, and I dare say GC Hixson has had his hands in just about every one of them. Now, GC hasn't been the only person involved, but he is obviously the quarterback of the JECDB, and nobody can do it without the Tom Brady of the recruiting world. And GC, we appreciate everything you do, and I know you've got a pretty good long list of things to tell us about this morning, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, and are we good? Everybody can hear, and so we're in good shape?
I think we're all right.
Good. I had an opportunity to drop my wife at the airport this morning at 6:30, so I took the opportunity just to drive the city. And I think with the passing of Mr. Daniels, just a moment to be appreciative of where we are in our lives, where we are in this community, and the potential we have. And just a moment to say thank you to people like himself, to our elected officials, with Mayor Haggerty deciding to, not run again. Rob, I know you don't want me to say this, but you've been members of our board and vice chairman of our board. As much as we put our hands in a lot of projects, Rob, yours has been in there. And so many companies just give of themselves. There's no way these things could have happened without Rob Porter's drawings, Caleb Thorne's cost estimates. And all these things are done, for the good of the cause and the good of the community. And I think that's why we're successful here. Very fortunate to be in this position. We're very fortunate to see the growth. And I sit here looking out at Mount Juliet at this beautiful residential development next to the rail. And it's just uplifting. And you want to look back at your life, I think, and see that you tried to help people. And in economic development and in, everything we do, if it's medical or engineering or whatever, I think we can look at those things, banking, whatever. And so just wanted to start there. But what a great place, what a great story that we have. And it's a good time and good place to be in Mount Juliet and Wilson County. So I'll start there. Rob, you can jump in or ask questions or whatever, but Mark gave me a few things maybe I could just touch on. And one, I think there's three major things. You can go to our website, www.doingbiz, and sort of get the annual report, some of the specifics. But I think there was three major things that happened in our community last year. The purchase of the hospital of Vanderbilt University. That is a changer to our community that's going to pay dividends from now on. And Tracy was nice enough to send me the layout of, you think the hospital, but there's 9 separate facilities in operation that Vanderbilt has their hands in right now. What does that do for us? We see it as a growth opportunity. We see medical industry being a pathway to our office developments in the future. It improves our quality of life. It allows us to recruit maybe the next Dell Web development, which drives retail. So as we make our plans and our strategic thinking, we think this one thing is something that can be a great economic platform for us in Wilson County, Mount Juliet, Lebanon from now on. The purchase, Vol State's determination to be here in Mount Juliet is the second major announcement over the last year. Again, that goes hand in hand. If the medical industries need professionals, we need to strengthen that relationship between the school systems, Vol State, Cumberland University, our TCAT Center, creating quality jobs for a really good growth sector. And the third thing that happened last year was the purchase of the Nashville Eastern Railroad by the R.J. Corman. The ability to better service our industries, the steel companies that's located here. And we don't think about it, but our building, our residential development, where does the lumber come from? Builders First Sources, Burdine Industries, those people that rely on rail to keep our costs down. It helps us to bring in, the tile companies here. So those are the three major umbrella things I think that happened last year that we hear, we know about, but we don't know the overall, overall long-term effects that it's going to have. Mark asked me to talk a little bit about the Speedway. Certainly, I think there's been great coverage. I think the timing was ideal. If we didn't have an opportunity to bring a race and make that as an entertainment center, probably this year or next year, it's probably going to be too late. With the Panettones taking down properties, they have about 400 acres. They have about 2.5 million square feet of space out there. Again, if you're ordering your Apple products or products like that and you want it by this afternoon, that's where they came from, the Federal Expresses. Again, they have about 2.2 million square feet of occupied space in their first development of about 5.5 million. They're continuing to build 8 buildings out there on their about 400 acres. They will continue to build. But what this has done with the race in June now has allowed Dover to bring a race here, to get racing back into the community, to use that facility for more than that. If you go to the Dover website, you'll see driving schools, 4 different driving schools that they have in Delaware. You'll see concerts held at their facility. You'll see national Corvette events and driving schools and things of that nature. So when we think of just one race, there's $8 to $10 to $12 million of investments being made out there that's going to allow different things to go on there year round. So that's two good things going at the Speedway. The 840 corridor, if you happen to drive down there, last year, we put rooms to go, a 1.2 million square foot building. They will have a retail outlet there. So you can go and shop there. There's retail sales that's going to be coming from that. That's 1.2 million square feet. O'Reilly's, a 500,000 square foot building went there. Napa went there last year, 500,000 square feet. know, what this means, and all those were done for the most part without any local tax incentives. So all that money goes back into the tax roll. We've tightened our restrictions on what we do with incentives for logistics companies now. But our logistics industries are typically in the $15 to $16 an hour range for first level folks. So we're generating, you know, down there last year that we touched somewhere around 3.2 million square feet of new space, $600 million of investment, and over 2,200 jobs. You know, that's about what our labor force is growing every year. So we are trying to keep up with that. Also, the Love's Travel Center, located at Couchville Pike at 840, was the first main retail project that we'd done down 840. So if you go down from Lebanon to Dixon, you'll now have a Love's Travel Center, the only really commercial development on 840. That center will have a tire changing services in the back. We're closing, a client is closing on a piece of property, which is sort of a unique concept, to get trucks off of the road and off of ramps. So if you're a trucker and you've done your 10-hour shift, there's about a 30-acre tract there now that you can pull in, you can key card it, you can stay there. It's, you know, it's safe, it's secure, it's clean. And a lot of this because the industry now is hiring so many female drivers, and don't, you know, or just male drivers that want a safe and secure place. This will be the second project that this company has done in Tennessee. So we're excited. You know, there's a lot of spinoffs going on in our industry. Our overall picture is good. Our clients are still coming in. I think in Mount Juliet, you know, we got kicked a couple of times. Again, just driving around this morning, you can see the reconstruction. You can see what's going on at Amazon. And you got a good developer out there that's building that tremendous building, and we can talk a little bit about that in a minute. But what you're seeing is every building that's been affected out there in March 3rd in some type of form of being put back on the market. March 3rd through about March 17th, we moved 3.3 million square feet of clients around. Now, the industrial realtor did the lifting, but we were able, because we had product being in the pipeline, we were allowed for those folks to be back in production in the shortest period of time. Imagine what the unemployment rate would have been in our community if we'd taken another 2,500 jobs out of the market because we had to wait 12 months for these buildings to be reconstructed. Our market is tight, but we've got developers buying property and building product because it works here. And we were able to move these folks around. Where would Federal Express been? Where would Toro gone to? Where would, some of the other industries that we had that were affected? If not for our community working with developers and, to make product, we would have been in a very bad shape. So my message, I think, today for elected officials is continue to be open to development. We'll talk a little bit about office development, professional development. But there's a lot of folks in the logistics industry. I had a friend the other day said I needed armor all for my vehicles. I didn't want to go to the store and get it. I was busy. I went online in my garage, ordered it at 9 o'clock, and at 1 o'clock it was sitting at my garage. Those are the things that the consumer wants. And where do they come from? And if we look at our Amazon project here, which should be publicly announced within the next 2 weeks, we can probably say Amazon, but Project Sam, if we're requiring that, where are those services going to be provided? And certainly there's no better place than Mount Juliet. But the thing that's changing in the logistics industry is not the big distribution boxes, it is the last mile delivery. So if I can get my armor, or if I can get my foods, or if I can get my pills and pharmaceuticals brought in and shipped to me within a 4-hour window, who's doing that? And we see those smaller Amazon trucks out doing that last mile distribution. You're going to see a lot more of the lifts vehicles and individual vehicles peaking, going to these sort centers and final mile centers and deliveries. So there'll be a lot of opportunities for part-time employment of people that want to not pick up folks, but now to begin to pick up products and move around for those last mile delivery. And you'll see that here in Mount Juliet, and you'll see it at many of their centers. So that's one of the major changes. Rob, any questions to start with? As I look at some notes, but.
You made a comment that Amazon hadn't actually made their announcement yet.
Yeah.
Probably one of the world's worst kept secrets, I guess, but I didn't realize they hadn't they hadn't announced yet.
They have not, and I think they struggled with everything that's going on. Should there be a groundbreaking? Should there be handshakings? I think within the next 2 weeks, you'll see a public press release. And then hopefully, you know, in the fall or in the spring, you know, some type of grand event. But we've got several of those. The Rooms to Go never announced. Again, the Napa project down 840 never announced. And it's okay. It's on the books. They're hiring folks, and for our benefit, it's moving on to the next project. But yeah, this has sort of, you know, changed some of the typical announcements. If I could just spend maybe 5 minutes on our initiatives with what Rob and Caleb Thorne has got us working on, and that's professional office development. Keep in mind, when you look at the Amazon project out there, it's not all box and products moving. There's a lot of office space there. There's 50,000 square feet of office operations inside Under Armour. But our initiative now is to take a look at advancing the white collar professional development and talk a little bit about, we think that can be in the medical field. We think that can be an easy step into processing of claims, satellite operations of you know, medical centers here. But there's some things we've done recently, and one is we expanded our tax incentive program to include office buildings. That started in 2006. We've done, I think, 19 of those for industrial and manufacturing facilities. But we're working with office developers now. What does it take to be competitive? And we're going to look at all the projects like we do, the number of jobs, the revenue generated, spin-off jobs. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at, you know, creating tax zones where you take a 50-acre piece of property and let the tax incremental of the taxes, maybe use those monies to help a developer and help the cities do infrastructure. It's not cheap to do development. But one of the major points I want to make is you can't sell from the empty wagon. A greenfield of property, and our engineering folks will tell you, a great location, great piece of property, it may be 18 months to 2 years to bring to market. So we've got to work with developers and landowners to get that product online. Because when we get requests, I've got to be in the building within 3 months. Where's your shell building? Where's your delivery date? I've got some unique data requirements. So if we can encourage our elected folks and our developers to work together to give the opportunity for developers and landowners to put product on the land, put product online, I encourage us to do that. One of the things that's happening during this COVID experience is that I can't tell you how it's going to affect office product. A lot of professionals say we're going to need more office space because we're going to have to keep folks 6 feet apart or 5 feet apart or 10 feet apart. So we're going to have more office space. Other folks says it'll decrease the amount of office space that we're going to need. How's that happen? Well, we're all working at home right now, or limited, office exposure. So again, I think it's a developer that wants to make investment and move forward and feel comfortable. We've got to do everything we can right now to help that to happen. But I can't tell you what the office product or office of the future is going to look like. It could be more, it could be less. That's the great question that's going on right now in professional and office development. When does everybody come back to the office? Does everybody come back to the office? The other thing is a couple of growth industries that we're looking at is the office. Pharmaceutical sales or pharmaceutical products is really big, which requires a tremendous amount of water in most cases. We have that here. I think that's a good product for us to look at. And the other thing that you'll see a lot of, and another major announcement in Middle Tennessee is data centers. And you'll see a major one announced in Gallatin here over the next 3 or 4 weeks. But again, here's the product. It's a $500 million project. It's 800 acres, and it's less than about 120 jobs. 120 great jobs at $80,000 to $100,000 average wage. But as we stay home, as we work at home, as we stream more, TVA has been inundated with where do I put smaller data centers? How do I increase the capabilities? And of course, they're very interested because data centers is very electrical intensive. So pharmaceuticals, data centers, working at home, office development, and we will continue to work with our developers to put product on the line. And that's one of the things I think we've done well over the last 15 years. We've done it through some incentive programs that the county commission and the cities have participated in. We'll continue to ask that, but we'll do it in a very business-like format. So, those 3 things, those 3 major announcements over the last year, continuing to expand some of our retail, just dealing with the unknowns, and then also continue to deal with, rebuilding schools, rebuilding product here. And it's a great place to be doing it. I can't think of, better places. When I was economic development director for the state, there's great cities out there, but we're second to none. And that's what was attractive to me to be here. That's why it's attractive to come to work. The people here on the screen, small enough to serve, big enough to care, and dedicated enough to get the job done. And I think that's our story, and I think we should be proud of that. So Mark, any questions or any area or specifics you may have, let me know.
GC, you had hit on a couple things I want to touch on. One about the offices, and you didn't have enough to do, so we opened up the offices and the white collar jobs to actually fall under the payment in lieu of taxes, the county pilot program. We got one under that program yet, but we've had discussions with a few. That's probably as we move back into more normal times and more productive times. I think your offices are probably going to come in and take advantage of the pilot. And I know that you've had a lot of discussions, but just wanted to touch base on that is one of the tools that you're using to try to attract the white collar.
It is, and I hate to say, tax abatements, but I think we should look at it. Cities are stressed financially. Counties are stressed. We're building schools. So how does a developer overcome that $5, $8, $10 million of infrastructure costs that typically in the old days, cities provided. Can we do something and say, it's not an abatement. We will work with you to put infrastructure on the ground. I think if we look at it that way, and we're going to do it in the shortest period of time, it provides short-term benefits for your client, but it provides long-term benefits for getting an interchange built, for getting major sewer water systems upgraded. Those are the things I think that we can go hand in hand with the cities and the developers and clients. But if we're not moving towards getting a product online, we're going to be behind other communities.
Well, you know, the counties have been working with GC and all the planning jurisdictions, but, you know, the office worker, the office products have all needed the restaurants, the hotel rooms, the zoning, with Providence in place and Providence Central opportunity. You have Beckwith interchange at I-40. You have HCA that just put their new emergency facility there, and all of a sudden now you've got office users looking at that interchange also, and then on at 109 at the Wilson Farms development, and then even at South Hartman where there's obviously some office going on. So the pieces that over the last years we've attempted to put into place are probably right now prime to start seeing some of the fruit come from all that. And you know, it's just we just have to keep pushing, and the tools in the toolbox are what GC's got to deal with. One other thing, GC, we have been GC and Caleb Thorne and I have been meeting with the city planning and the county planning staffs to go over and try to find areas within their jurisdictions for future potential industrial development. Part of the problems GC's having right now is that you got to have land to sell and land for these recruiting folks to find, and there's just not enough inventory, and there's not enough zoning. There's not even enough land on the land use maps for them to even start looking. So we have been working with those kind of behind the scenes to try to come up with areas in the cities and the counties that these folks, when they come in, they actually can start looking in certain areas to help them with what they do. And then the third thing is with the coronavirus and the federal government indicating that they're going to incentivize bringing production back into the United States and not so much of it being overseas. And I'm probably not supposed to bring it up, but we actually, it's kind of a coincidence, funny, but we've actually got a face mask company looking at Wilson County as the first one I've heard of, GC, that I would recognize probably as a company looking to come back in the United States in that type of industry. So I'm sure you're getting ready to have a lot more of that.
I think we are. I think the federal government will continue to put money into those sectors. Pharmaceuticals, that's a concern. Personal protection. Yeah, we've had hand sanitizer companies that's needing 300 to 500,000 square feet. Those things are coming back to the market, and again, they're going, I've got to be in production in 4 months. So that just doesn't happen. The face mask group makes the N95s looking at a building, because the building, you know, we never want to lose an industry, but the industry had left us. Tremendous building, and we got bidding wars going on because you're in the central middle Tennessee region. You got good labor, you're at the airport, you got all the things that these folks are looking for, but they got to be in production in 60 days. You know, where do I ship the equipment that I purchased 3 months ago? I don't want to locate it in California and then ship it across the US. So hand sanitizers, pharmaceuticals, pills, PPE, you'll continue to see that. And so it will affect it. But then I go back to the medical and what we have the opportunity to do here. And I think that's just a real growth area for us in Wilson County. And it just touches everything we're doing. So I'm excited about that. Mark, you need some time, you said? I know I didn't, hope I didn't say too much too long.
No, Rob, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. GC, it's perfect. I believe, anybody have any questions for GC? We covered a lot there.
We can assume now, Rob, we can assume now that the face mask company's codename Lone Ranger. So if you see that. Hey, I did, would you, we have an important date coming up on Monday night at the city commission meeting. And I know people have heard a lot about this, but it's very important. Number one item on the regular agenda after the public hearing is the approval for the amendments for the Providence Central development. That's at 6:30. It'll be live streamed on Monday night. Jennifer Mullally, District 4, she represents that area. She will actually be our guest on Mount Juliet Monday, a virtual meeting. Invite all of you to join us for that. That's from 11 to about 11:30 or 11:45 on Monday. But Rob, since Mike Murphy gave the presentation at this meeting last month, any update on that or an ask of any kind for this group?
There are, I will say, I mean, everybody's been working very hard. I appreciate all the help from the chamber. I know Mike Murphy and the property owners appreciate it, but, you know, we're actually looking, we've had a lot of talks, a lot of negotiations, a lot of back and forth, and, you know, I'm looking forward to Monday night. I think people will do what's smart and what's right and move it forward. So we're not there yet, but hopefully this time next week there'll actually be a lot of work going on that if they approve it Monday night, they're going to work Tuesday morning on the project. So it's an immediate impact. TDOT's sitting there waiting to make sure that the approvals go through so they can get their free right of way for the interchange on the south side. So there's a lot of things kind of in the balance, but yeah, I appreciate everybody's help.
Everybody listening, this is probably not one we need to sit out and hope for the best. You need clients, patients, customers, contracts, employees, housing. This could put gas in the tank to keep us running for a long time, and probably been, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 years in the making. So,
Mark, can I just add one thing to that?
absolutely.
It is the type of development that developers want to do. Don't be afraid of high-end residential mixes, because people want to live in those and be able to walk to work, be able to stay at home, but yet walk over to their office one day a week. It's a great mix of office development and retail. It is the type of product that will take off. I'm really excited about it. I know there's concerns, but it is a product that will set Mount Juliet down the road and hopefully set the tone for the Wilson Farms, for the Hartman Drives, those things. But a great opportunity to encourage that interchange to be pushed up on the scale. And that's really a changer for this community.
Good remarks. I'm glad you mentioned that. We're fortunate to have a 220 unit development going right across the street from the Chamber Residential. And Brad and Matt are marketing it the same way, that there will be people that'll have an office component unit as well, and a little bit of retail, but people that will rent those offices they're hoping in many cases to be the people that actually live in the apartments. So their office doesn't have to be their dining room table. So sure hoping for the best on that, and not leave any stones unturned in doing what we can to support it. Real quick, last week also saw the introduction of the new train cars, rail cars for the WeGo Star. That if you haven't seen them, they're bringing them out in phases as they get them reconditioned, but very attractive, much lower maintenance. They've done track upgrades, 59 miles an hour, and you feel like you're sailing on a boat. It's very smooth. And again, RJ Corman coming in, already seeing the results of that partnership. Just a couple of things, and this is difficult since we can't hand out a printed agenda, but I'd encourage you to keep an eye on our calendar. Next Monday, as I mentioned, on Monday, Jennifer Mullally, District 4 City Commissioner, will be doing our Mount Juliet Monday program. Next Wednesday, Mayor Hutto, Wilson County Mayor Randall Hutto, will be giving the annual State of the County address virtually. We do ask that everybody please register online, and then a little bit before the meeting, you'll get the link for it. So we're going to try our first virtual ribbon cutting. We've been working with a developer that's going to unveil their new project, and working really hard with their marketing side. We've seen some examples of such an event in Chattanooga, and we're going to try it. We have it on the calendar for Thursday, July the 30th. So I hope you'll join us and see what that's all about. Let me see real quick. 2 remaining coffee with the candidates. School board is a very important position, and as you know, Tuesday, Thursday, each week we've been having 30-minute interviews, if you will, with the school board candidates. We have one next Tuesday and the final one on Thursday, and that will conclude that program because early voting starts next Friday. So please, please, please make plans to vote. And if you missed a candidate for school board that represents your area or you have an interest in, Marla has archived those. They are all available on our website. You can go back and watch the entire 30-minute, 20-minute video of our time together. Real quick, please mark down Thursday, October 1st. That is the annual Chamber of Commerce golf tournament, or as we say, the get back to somewhat of a normal and come out and hang out with your friends and enjoy free food and golf at Pine Creek. We hope that if that's something you want to do, you'll watch for our sponsorship and player information. We're going to try to make things a little bit different this year. Include the mulligans. We used to charge for that. That's going to be included in it. Lunch and all of the drinks are free. Some great prizes. I hope you'll mark that date down and support it. I'm probably out of time, but keep Charlie Daniels and his family in your thoughts and prayers. Probably never had and never will have a better ambassador for our community and our county, and we are sure going to miss him. We are here 8 to 4:30. If we're not here, we're working remote, but we're ready to help you out with anything you need. I hope you'll give us a call. And that's all I got. I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us this morning. We will stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.